right, I think we're live.
Yeah, we are.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to continue on from our previous two content modeling sessions, and we are actually going to consume our API to fetch the data. And therefore, I have with me today the CTO of Crystallize, Sebastian.
Hello, guys.
Say hello to the internet. Perfect. And he's gonna take us through how you can use all the data and the content model that we created last time. Today's stack is going to be Remix, if I'm not mistaken, right, Sebastian?
Yeah, just to show the basics. So we're going to use Remix because it's simple to install and it's quick and fast. So
yeah, and some performance out of the box, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
All right, then without further ado, let's just get started because I'm excited.
Okay, let's do that. So have a quick look at what we have in terms of data. So this is the catalog. We have books. Awesome. They are organized. We have different kind of books, and they all have, variants. Of course, the books are actually our products. We have some product storytelling and variants, and of course, we have categories, right? So fantasy, it's just one category actually.
Yeah.
It's good enough. And then we have contributors and series. But let's start by the very beginning. What we want is to fetch data, right? So first, in Crystallize, to fetch data, you are using GraphQL. So I'm opening the playground here, and we can just start, doing that in the browser, right? And what do we want? We probably want to do a navigation first, right, Didrik?
Let's do it. So then I guess we'll query on root. And the important part here, and while you're typing, I'll just explain how this is, because as soon as you have a tenant, you also have an endpoint like this, where you have your tenant identifier. You can see that up in Sebastian's toolbar here now, that you have api.crystallize.com, your tenant identifier /catalog. And this is where all your data is available that you have entered into Crystallize. You can also decide if you want this as protected with an access token.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, this is open. So yeah, let's go.
So see, for now, I've decided to say what? Okay, I can just get the information that I got from this UI, right, directly into my GraphQL response. So what do we want here? We want to list the navigation inside books, right? This is what we want to do. So I'm just going to ask for the path. I know it, but I just want to show you. So I'm just going to ask for the path. And then I'm going to use that path to say, okay, I just want to list whatever I have in /books, right? So now we have only one folder. We can create another, but let's use this. So this is what we want. And we probably want to list the books that we have underneath.
Probably we'll want to do that as well.
So we can go ahead and actually continue thanks to GraphQL, right? So doing this, I have the name of the books. So this is a very simple thing, right, to do right now. So we have the path for each books. And I think this is actually enough just to build the first navigation. So now the real question is, how do you use that GraphQL interface and that query into a project, right? This is exactly what we want to show you. So let's code. Let's code a little bit. So this is an empty folder, and so we're gonna start. So first, we just want to create a very simple Remix from scratch application. So nothing crazy here. I'm just going to install the last version, and then we can start coding. So of course, to do a GraphQL query, we can just use fetch. You fetch, it's a post HTTP request where you get information, when you get your information. So we're going to show you a little bit more because, of course, at Crystallize, we are providing the API and the PIM UI for you to build your front store, but we are also providing open source library. One of them is the GS API client. So this one is going to speed up the process for you to fetch information from Crystallize. So let's have a look at that. So I have my application now. I should be able to run project. Here we go. Welcome to Remix. So I'm going to open another shell just to run the project on the side.
And also, if of course, if you're more of a tweaking kind of coder, we also do have the boilerplates that you can start from. But now Sebastian is showing this from scratch, where you can start everything from scratch with the Create Remix app, and we'll take you through all the steps on how to consume our API.
Exactly. So let's have a look. Let's change the home page and make it empty. Good. With that, welcome to Crystallize. So now we want to fetch data. So in Remix, to fetch data, you need a loader. So, and this is not the most important part. That's it. We just want some data, and we can fetch data from here, and we're going to return those data in JSON, and so they'll be available in the component. So this is basically the boilerplate that we need in Remix. If you are using something else, that would be different. So use loader data. So that's pretty much it. Here I can do data equals hello world, right? We don't need this. GitHub Copilot is nice, not always. So good. And for now, let's make it simple. Let's do console.log of data. We're going to reload the page. Nothing is happening, of course. Hello world. Perfect. We have the first things that we want to do. So as I mentioned before, if we want to fetch, we could definitely do it manually, right? We could do fetch. We would put the endpoint here, and we could provide the query, right? This is how you would do that, right? You provide the header, you provide the authorization if you have one, you provide the content type and everything. So, but that is not very cool to show you know how to do a fetch, right? Let's make it quicker, right, Diederik?
And easier. At least that's what I use every time, because it's easier.
Exactly. So we are going to install this API client. So npm install Crystallize JS API clients. So of course, I can also show you that we have that in GitHub, of course, and we have this page where we are kind of demoing those libraries. So the JS API client have some stuff. We have also some hooks and some component. We're going to discuss that later. But just for you to know, if you go to GitHub, you have access to that. And for the API client, this is actually what we are going to use right now. So I'm not going to copy past everything, some of them. So this is installed, the project is running, going back to the code and importing the client. Good. And I'm going to do that here. We want to create a client to the endpoint. And here, you just have to provide tenant identifier and name of the tenant. So one more time, this is just everything that you've got here, right? So name of the tenant, identifier of the tenant, identifier of the tenant. Of course, this is consistent. We want to fetch the correct data. If somehow your API is protected, here, this is where you would put the access token and everything. So that would be here, right? So you have to look at the documentation, but that would be here. We don't need that yet. So now we have the API client. Huh?
Let's not do that today. Everything is open. It's books anyway. So if they want to buy our books through the API, perfect.
Exactly. So now, using the API client, you have access to different API. Behind the scene, at Crystallize, you have different API. You have the catalog API. We're going to use that one. But you have the order API to push order, the PIM API to do many different things, the search API, and the subscription API. Today, what we want is just the catalog API, and we just want to do a query on this. And this is simple as just providing the query right away. So I'm going to go back to the playground. Playground. I'm going to paste this. And I'm going to put that there. And of course, this is async. So we're going to need to wait for this. So we're going to do books equals await. And we get access to the book right away. So now I can do that. I'm going to keep the data variable for now. And let's see. I'm going to reload. And I should see books children's, fantasy, and so maybe it's not big enough. This can be
There we go.
So then, yeah, you have everything, right? So we have one key, so we can probably remove the catalog here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do books equals books.catalog, and here what we receive is actually a list of books. So going back here, make it so we have the children's, and now we can display this, right? So this is business as usual. I can just do a loop on it. Let's make it, we're going to make it any for now, right? Then we can just display this. So let's make it simple, right? I'm going to do that. We can not even me coding. This is GitHub Copilot. We want, so the first level are not books, right? This is a category, but we have a name and a path. So that's why we might want to rename this actually, because let's make it right and let's make it navigation. This is what we are doing actually. So we are fetching the navigation for now. So let's rename everything navigation. First level of navigation, those are, it's a category. So category path, category name. So this should work. And then, okay. Fantasy, good. And then underneath fantasy, what we want is probably to list the book. Perfect. So now we are doing the children of each category. Those are books, and we want to return exactly the same actually. Let's make it a URL li, book path, book name, easy, good. Boom, we have the navigation. Great. So this is one
how
way.
minimalistic it is.
I'm sorry?
I love how minimalistic this is.
Exactly, right? That was really, really easy. Of course, here we can do a path, right? So we can so in Remix it's not a, you can use a link to. So again, this is far more specific. This is not the subject of this live stream, but you know.
You probably want to do book path instead of name.
Path, yeah, and here that would be book name. Cool. Of course, this is not working yet. That makes sense. So all good here. So this is one way of doing it. Of course, the JS API client will provide you a little bit more because, you know, this is cool already, but we can go further. And in fact, some of the actions, and you are welcome to contribute, but some of the action that you want to do on the website, you know, are always the same. And fetching the navigation is actually something that is very useful in many different situations. So we have the navigation per folder that is already provided to you. So here it's a demo, but instead of doing everything that we've just done, you can just get the navigation fetcher, provide the def of what you want to get, and see you have the result right away. So here I can change into books, and we have exactly the same, but provided automatically to you in a one-liner. So let's use it, right? We want to demo that. So let's do that.
Of course.
So I'm gonna keep this, and I'm gonna do exactly the same. I need to get the navigation fetcher from the library. I'm providing the API client as an argument, dependency injection here, and we want to fetch by folder, because in Crystallize you also have a concept of topics. So sometimes you may want to do navigation using topics instead of the content tree. This is not what we're doing here. So I want to get /books in English, and I want the to first level. And let's make it navigation here. And let's console.log to be sure what we're getting. Navigation. So now breaking. That's totally fine. We are in development mode, right? So children. So this is normal. Here we just want to know what do we receive from navigation, right? From this one. So reload the page. We receive a tree, right, with an ID, name books, path books, and the children's, right? So it's very similar to what we got before, but you have the tree key first, right? So let's go there, and now we know that this is the tree that we are getting, and that should be it. So tree. That makes sense. That makes sense. So now we have the books, children, and fantasy. Oh, yeah, we need actually 3 levels. So here we go. Here we go. So exactly the same, but much, much simpler. Cool. So we can remove all that code. And of course, this is completely extensible. So you need to read the documentation, but in here, when you fetch, you can provide extra information here. See, you have extra query. You can also customize what you want in each level. So everything that we provide in those libraries, you can extend everything. It's opinionated for the default value and what you get by default, but then you can customize everything. So here, if you wanted to get more information on each, if you want the topics, for instance, on each level, you could do something like that, topics true, that would be probably topics name equals true and something like that. This is not what we want to do yet, but I was just to mention it. So now we have the,
if you go back just to explain what we might also mention is that the default language when you create a tenant is English. So that's the path is /books, the language that you want to get, since Crystallize is multilingual. You need to specify what language you would like to fetch. And then it's the depth of the tree that you're having as a third variable here.
And behind the scene, this is just doing exactly that. Exactly the same. And so that's why you can extend that query, right? Here, you don't build the query yourself, but still you can extend it. Let's say, like, one more time, if we want the topics, maybe you want the name and the path of the topics. So maybe we don't have any topics, right? But you may want to do that. And where would you do that? Using the JS API client, that would be here. So you do topics, and it would be name and path. So that would be the way you do it. Say, okay, I want the topic and I want the path. And that would be exactly the same. So it's really convenient. That doesn't change anything here. It's working, but and you can add more and more and more.
No, I love it.
Now we probably want to display more information about the product, so we can show you a little bit more on those libraries, and especially how to display the image, maybe the paragraph, right?
And the price. Let's do the price as well.
And the price, of course, we're doing e-commerce. So let's do that. So we need another route, and in Remix, it's kind of easy. We're gonna do books. The password books. Yeah. So we're gonna do $. So I'm sorry. This is books / category / thing. So we can definitely do something like books will be hard coded $, category $, name. Or it could be path, actually. That would be our title or whatever. This is just a variable name. So doing this, and now I just need, I'm gonna name it book. And first, we're just going to return something done to see if the route is working. So let's do that. Page. So we want, now I should be able to do something like this, actually. Boom. So fantasy. This is easy routing, right? So this is cool. Then we're going to need a loader to fetch the data. So I'm going to copy paste that one. Of course, I need the import, and I would need the client. So in a normal project, of course, you would not copy paste this. You would get a client somewhere that you get, right? You don't want to reinstantiate the client over and over. Let's make it simple. For now, we can optimize later. So same as before, empty information for now. This is loading. Nice. Now we probably want to get the parameters here, right? So this is provided by Remix. Again, it could be different depending on the framework you are using. So I'm going to log that to know what I'm getting. So this is going to be server side. We get category, fantasy, and path, the following the fellowships of the rings. Okay, so great. We have the category and we have the path of the book. So we can actually construct this if we want. In Crystallize, the Crystallize path will be something like that. But of course, in Crystallize, and this is important, I can show you, every content item, they have also a path, which is completely disconnected from what you are building in terms of content, right? This is just Crystallize. So here, if I go to the Hobbit, I have different view here, pretty view, nerdy view, and developer view. And this is actually the path in Crystallize. So most of the time when you're going to build a front end, you're going to try to map this to your front end, but you don't necessarily have to do it. Right, Didrik? I mean, it's completely up to you.
It is. That's beautiful.
That's the beauty of that one. So here, if I fetch data from Crystallize, I'm going to fetch it by Crystallize path, which is in this situation, /books/category/path. Awesome. So now let's fetch some data. So usually how you do that, you're back to this playground, and this is actually what we're going to do. So first I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to copy paste this, and we're going to do this together. So we want the product information. So first, this is a product, so there is no shield on, so we can remove all that stuff. Let's make it simple. We want the name, and then it's going to be really handy to have a look at the doc here. So what do we have here? We have the catalog. This is GraphQL stuff, so you might know that, but you can see everything that you have. So of course we can request the path, but we have it. That makes sense. What we want is the components, right? So we have component, and this is where you're going to get the data. And because it's a product, it implements product. We will be able to retrieve the different variants, and on the variants, we are going to be able to retrieve the price variant. So if you are using multi-currency, for instance.
And also, as you can see, we have multiple fields here with videos, image, first image, and all of that. And if you have a shape that is a product, you also get a certain attributes that separates it from documents and folders, for example. So if it's a product, it implements product like you saw here, and then you get all these nice things with different images, variants, price variants, stock variants, which we will get into later. Of course, for now, let's focus on the simples. We want the price, we want the name, we want a small description, but let's also load an image in a proper way.
Yeah, awesome. So let's do that. I was checking. So this is a shape of a book. We have the title, the summary. So we're going to get the title, the summary, and the image component. Make sense?
Makes sense. But I wouldn't go for the image component in the meta here. I would go for the image on the variant.
Yes. Okay. Let's do that then. That's right.
And also one nifty thing, if you go back to the product in the catalog, let's go Hobbit. You can also see if you want all the components that we showed here from the shape, on the three-dotted menu on inside the product story. To the right, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Product story. Further down, you see the three-dotted menu over the title.
Yeah.
Component. Yeah, there you are. View component identifiers instead, because that is what we are going to concern ourselves about.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we're going to retrieve components based on the identifier. So you can toggle this, and this is more for the developers to see what's going on.
Exactly. And if you want to cheat even more, you can again click on the developer view, and here you have already a query that is fetching everything. So you can get a lot of example of how to query your data right from this interface, actually. So we are not going to do that because we want to show you how to do it from scratch. But here you have everything that you need to have and to know to fetch everything. Once again, we don't want to fetch everything. So let's do it. We want the title, the description, and the variant, right? So let's do that. So going back to the pretty view, and let's do that. So title and summary. Let's start by this one. So we want component, and we can provide the ID. We want the title, and here, let's make the name. I will do that this way. So this is title, good. This is what we want. What do we want? We want the content of this. And this, if we look at the documentation, could be a different kind of type, right? Every component could be different. Could be a rich text, could be a paragraph collection, could be an image, could be a that component. It could be many things. So you have to look at the documentation to see. Here, it's a union type. So you need to know what it is. But once again, you don't have to remember everything by heart. The trick is to actually use a property that we provide, which is type name. So when I do that, I know that my title is a single line content. So that's going to be very useful for me because I can do on single line content. What do I want? I want the text. Good. This is a very simple example here. Great. So this is the data I'm going to get. If you want to make it a little bit cleaner also for your code, in GraphQL, you can alias here. So usually I would do that, title. So in my JSON, I have the title here. Good. So now let's continue with the summary. So I'm going to apply the same logic. Summary, that's going to be an alias for the summary component. Here, actually, we don't need the name, so I'm going to remove that right after. But good.
Just make sure.
Exactly. Just making sure always. Don't trust yourself. So type name, and so we know that it's a rich text. Great. So you can do on rich text content, and here you can check the doc, right? But we have auto-completion as well. This is a more structured component. So you have more. So you can ask for the JSON, you can ask for the HTML version of the rich text, or just plain text. So let's fetch the three of them first, and we'll see which one we're going to use and why and how. So this is just a conversion of the description here. So let me do something cool here. I'm going to put this in bold, and I'm going to publish. So here I put and I'm going to make it even this way. So it's going to be simpler. So this is bold. Of course, it's a structure, right? It's a rich text. So it's not going to change anything in plain text, of course. But if you look at the HTML version,
especially since we are here fetching the Fellowship of the Ring and not the Hobbit, you need to change the path here.
So let's do that. Thank you. Great. So developer view.
Pretty developer.
I prefer that one anyway. Up.
Yeah, I prefer the videos or the movies. Should be those rings.
Yeah. So strong, right? So plain text, and the JSON version of it, it's actually even more structured. You have everything, the whole tree, and we are going to use that not because we are not going to ask you to display and to render everything in React doing this, but because in the library that we are providing, we have the React.js component that is called content transformer, which is actually taking a JSON and rendering it in React. So that's why I'm going to get the JSON here. Make sense?
And of course, the reason for doing it this way is because Crystallize is based on superstructured data. You want all your content to be structured, and we don't want to rely on, for example, HTML, because that's only for the web. And you might want to render stuff into your PDFs or to your Kindle or whatever. So we have created or adapted this structure for a JSON on how to give the necessary information for all kinds of paragraphs, what you usually see.
This is a semantic version of your rich text, right? It's all semantic.
Yeah. Exactly.
So first it's a paragraph, then in line, it's in bold, strong. So yeah, everything is semantic. So as mentioned, if you want to do multi-channel, you can do it. So that is for the product storytelling, as we call it. So the components. Now we want the variants. So the variants are more on the product information kind of things, right? So if I'm going back here, going to the pretty view, or the nerdy view is actually very good to show as well also. So this is a different variant, a different version of the product with the different prices, different SKUs, and type here, of course, could be the paper, hardcover, ebook, or audiobook, for instance. So let's fetch those, right, in GraphQL and with Crystallize. So we can look at the documentation. Well, here you see I'm not going to have the auto-completion, because when I'm fetching stuff in the catalog with Crystallize, by default, I get an item, which is a generic things. So what I want to do is to make sure that if it's a product, so on product, then I want to fetch something specific. And this is variants. I want the default. So let's start with the default variant. So I have the default variant and I want the name of it. Maybe I want the SKU. Let's start with that. So I'm going to run this query. And I'm going to do this. So it's cleaner. Up. So we have the default variant, name, the name, paperback, and the SKU. Now we want the pricing here. So you have a shortcut here. You can get the price directly. But in Crystallize, and this is completely up to you, this is a configuration in the settings, you can have different price on each product variant. So you can do multi-currency, you can have a sell price, a default price. You can content model your eShop the way you want. In this example, we have only one price. So this is easy, but I'm going to show you the complex way because I think that the better way is to get all the variant all the time. So you can get the identifier of the price, the name if you want to display it, but what you want is the price and the currency. So this is the default price, 23 euros, right? So and we don't want the default variant. We want all of them. So here you can just change that this way, and you get all the variants right away. All good? And oh no, we are missing the images.
Which is most important, of course, for me.
Exactly.
Since I'm more visual.
we're gonna add the image in the game, and so images in Crystallize are great, right? Because we are taking care of the conversion and the optimization for you, so you can upload the image that you want, and we are taking care of managing variants of those images. So here you can ask for the image, and you can ask for the URL. If you do that, and I'm gonna bring the default variant back just for the sake of the demo, this is actually the URL, the original, right? So you don't want to use this one in your project. What you want is to get access to the variants. So the images are going to be useful when you are on mobile to render the correct one, when you are on desktop or on Retina display, responsive images. And for each variant of an image, you can of course get the URL. So if I do that, you get the AVIF version, the WebP, the JPEG, for different formats. So, and we're going to need this as well. So we need 8 and the width.
Perfect. And of course, like you said, we do convert all the images into, it's not only sizes, it's different formats as well. So you get the original format, PNG, JPEG, or whatever you uploaded, but you also convert them to WebP and newer image technology for the web, like AVIFs or WebP, which is good for performance.
So now we're good, right? We did our job. We fetched all the data that we wanted. So I'm going to bring back all the variants here. And now we're going to code and display, render that using different components.
Could also add stock though, if we want to extend it even further, just to show it.
So stock here, it's a shortcut as well to something more robust, which is stock location, on which you have an identifier and the information here. So let's have a look. Yeah. So stock 1. Yeah. So this is just the available stock. Let's get
perfect.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. So I'm gonna just copy paste. And let's have a look at the code. So in the JS API client, you have a way to structure, because here it's a big string, right? So, and some people that don't really like to fetch information like that. I mean, to organize the code with big string, it really depends. It's an implementation choice. You do what you want. Here we're going to do it the simplest way. So we're just going to copy paste this here. It could be a variable. You can organize that differently, put that somewhere in the code, have some kind of collection of query. You can do many things. It could be a name query as well, because here you can provide the full query, or you can provide the query and the variables here. So that's also something that you can do using the JS API client. And you can also provide JavaScript object. So I will let you look at the doc for that, or it could be the subject of another live stream. But you can do pretty cool stuff. So if you want to build a query using code, you can actually do that. But yeah, I'm getting the product, and I'm going to return the product, and I'm going to get it in my component here. So product, usable data, I need that function, and I'm going to be sure that everything is wired correctly. Product, page, catalog, name the obit, summary, title, and variant. Boom. So nice. First part of the job is done. Easy. So removing this, we're good. And maybe here I can remove the catalog key just to make it, a little bit more fancy, like we did earlier. So I'm going to do product equals product.catalog. And so now what do we want? We want to be quick, and we want to display the product title. Title, content, and text. So we didn't mention this, but in Crystallize, every content item, they have a name. The name is used to build a path here. And usually it's a good habit to add another title for the product storytelling that is not exactly the same as the name that you get here for each item. This is why in here we have the name, but we also have the title. Most of the time they might be similar, but they might not be. It depends on the user, it depends on the contributor and what they want to do. All right. So here we want to display the title. So title, content, text, boom. We have this. Reload the obit. Then we want the description, right? The summary. So let's don't do any class here. And product summary, content.json. And
what happened? But you can show if you add the plain text here now.
Yeah, we could actually show that, right? We can say, okay, let's give me the HTML version of it. So, and that even it's not going to really work because, it's HTML, right? So, and you are in React and you want to render the HTML. So this is where you will need some kind of dangerous, something like that, if I recall. This is not really cool. This is not what we want, and this is on purpose that is failing. We're going to install the correct library to render that correctly. So this is, once again, one of the libraries. This is React.js component. I'm going to just get this, go back to the code, to the project. I'm going to install that library, run it again. So now I have access to the content transformer. I'm going to be lazy here. I'm going to copy paste. I'm going to copy paste this. Actually, I don't need so much. I need the import content transformer. And in my component, what do I need? So the example in the library is using a paragraph collection. So a paragraph collection is basically a collection of rich text plus title. This is not what we're using here. We just have the JSON directly. So we actually just need this. So we're going to render the JSON, which is actually product.summary.json. Boom. Boom. That should be it. Here we go. So we have the summary. Nice. Let's continue. Now we want to display the different variants, right? So let's have a look and display them. So I'm going to do product variant, that map. This is a variant. And we're going to make it, let's put the UL. I know it must hurt you, Didrik, because you are so good at doing this stuff. It will be so much fancier for you doing this, right? So return, let's do...
Yeah, but that's for another session, where we are going to bring this up again, and then we're just going to organize it, show how we can use it to make it readable, and how we would probably do when you are going live as well. Now it's just an example on how to render and show the data. Here you probably also want to have the li inside of the map function.
What?
Oh, you have the listed
items. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. That's why we're together, right? Because
yeah. I'm just observing and coming out with smart comments. That's my job today.
All right, so we have the variant, and then we can display. I don't know. We can display the stuff. Yeah. Variant. That's I think we did stock location. Let's have a look. Variant, stock location, and then we want the first one. So we could loop here. You get the point. So I'm gonna get the first one here, and then we want the stock number. Okay, and then we want. We're gonna get to the images soon. So the variant, the price. You probably want to look for the price. Should we, or should we? I don't know how we are doing in terms of timing for the.
That's the beauty about the internet, because people can just shut it off when they don't want to watch us anymore. So we can bring it in for another 5 minutes because we want to do the image as well. Yeah. Just to solve the different.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the first price then only. It's okay with you?
It's okay by me. You have my approval, Sebastian. Like if you ever needed it.
You need your approval. So this is fine. Okay. So once again, right, this is just to show you very quickly, probably for your project. And actually, if you look at the boilerplate that we are providing, this is definitely not the way to do, right? You should have a component that is taking care of the pricing everywhere in your app. Probably you have a context with the current currency, the current language. You need to organize your application in a better way, in a more complex way, but in a more efficient way for you on the long run. Once again, this is just an example. Here, you need a price component that is taking in argument probably a price and a currency, and then you do the formatting that you'd like for your user.
And then, of course, if you're lazy like me, you you'll just download the boilerplate that we provide that do have all of this stuff.
Yeah. So now let's have a look at images. So now we want
cherry on the cake.
Yeah. So we want the image. So here we're going to loop on every images. And let's see. So first we can do that.
Do that first.
Merge GitHub, Copilot. That's too bad. See, I cannot do just I want the first line. Or I don't know how to do it. So I'm gonna have to write it manually. It's too bad. So we want image image.url, and of course we want the source. So I'm going to do that first and show you. First, it should work. Will I do? Cannot property of null. Oh, this is null. Okay, maybe. Let's have a look. Variant, first variant, image. Maybe we have one variant with no image. That's why.
Yes, we do. You can just go into Crystallize and delete it.
Oh, we can.
Because it's the 5th row without any images.
Okay. Or we can just return null in the code. This is the last one.
Good.
Should I remove this one or should I fix
you
the
can
code?
remove it. You can remove it.
Okay.
That's me showing an example and forgetting to delete.
Yeah, but it would be better to that would have been probably just this.
Of course.
Boom! Now we have the image. So here it's working, but don't be proud yet because it's the original image. So we can click on it and see. So it's not good. You're not going to get a good performance and you're not going to get a good grade on Google page speed because you are using the original one. And here, but we have it in the answer, in the response from the server, because it could be a callback for, I don't know, some use case. But what we want is to use those variants. And here comes the responsive image step. So how do we do responsive images? So picture, right? Something like that. Didrik, do you know?
Yeah. You have a figure, you have picture, and then figure, and then you have a source set, and then you have the original image tag and all of that stuff, and then you have to go in. And it's a pain if you want to handle it manually, basically.
Right. So this is complex. This is interesting. Of course, you could do it manually, right? The SRC set and everything. And this is really important. By the way, we have a very good blog post about that on the website. But, right, we're providing the data, but we want to do a little bit more. We want to also simplify the way you're rendering those data. So we've built a component for you that is actually going to display those images in a responsive way. So I'm going to be lazy one more time. And if you look at this one, you have the image. And that's going to be easy as doing this. So let's use it. So I'm going to import this component. And I'm going to use it. So the only thing that this component is requiring is actually to spread the image. So if we have many images here, so I'm gonna oops. Okay, I need the key one more time. That's fine. So I'm gonna return this. I'm gonna remove this class name because we don't need it here, and I want image directly. So this is just spreading the image, and here this is size. This is actually not. Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure that it would be something like that.
Yeah, and what sizes are, of course, because if you have a source set, it's the sizes that defines where you want to break your images. So here we are saying get the image that matches your viewport, or not now, but if you have VW as your 100% of viewport width. And then what you want to do is to add responsive media queries here to say, okay, for let's say, empty head, no example. For the lower screens, I want to show 2 images. Then I want to use 50% of the viewport. So yeah, like you are doing now, because now we're stating that, okay, you're going to use 100% of the viewport.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
then you would have,
that?
Yeah, you can have it like this.
Could be just
an
this,
important
right?
part here, yeah, we're not going to go through everything here, but what it does, and based on the sizing, because you might have more than one image showing in columns over your screen, and then you don't want to use 100% of the viewport, because what the library or what the HTML actually is doing here is to fetch the image that is most suited for your needs. Because you see, and it's natively supported. It's no magic behind here. It's just rendering out the whole HTML structure.
So this is what the component is doing for you.
Yeah.
And then what you need to do as a developer is to make sure that, you don't trust anything, just check yourself. And this is what we can do when we are loading the page. You can go to the network tab, and we can filter to images and reload. And here you should check what you're getting. And here, if we did everything correctly, you can get the URL and see this is the version. This is the good version that you get. And you get only the AVIF for the 5 different variants.
That is, of course, your browser supports AVIFs. And if it doesn't, it will fall back to JPEG or WebP or whatever. But never forget sizes. Sizes are one of the key features for this to make it performant. And what it basically is like here, the Hobbit is only 200 pixels. If you set 100 pixels in the sizes here, you would get the 100 pixel image. You need to remove the viewport width.
Do I need comma?
You can remove viewport width, just for the example.
Now, going back to the network tab, and same stuff. We got the 200. Yeah, but I mean, this is front-end stuff. This is important again, but you have very, very, very good article on the blog in Crystallize on Crystallize.com, and this is something that you must read if you don't know. I don't exactly remember how to find it, but probably if you do in Google, you can find it.
You know what? We'll link it. We'll link it downstairs.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, under the
and to finish this, you have more on the libraries, right? In Crystallize, you can build grids, for instance. So we didn't do it. I don't think we have time to do it, but maybe for another one.
We'll do it in a separate session.
Yeah. So you can create a test grid here and just, show you this. And then you can, bring some books here. So you build the grid that you want, boom. So I should have taken a smaller one, but then you do that. And same, this is headless, right? So we are providing a way for you to do those grids and to use those grids, but we don't want you bothering how to be annoyed on how to display a grid, because you have many ways actually to display a grid. It could be using CSS, it could be using a table, it could be using different div and rows, or CSS grid. So you have that as well in the component. So if I go back here, you have the component to render the grid. So this is it. You have a component to render video as well. No demo here, but same stuff. And the images, we discussed about it.
Yeah.
And then for the API client, so we are building the documentation. We are adding more and more every day. So here you can see, and we can demo only the fetching of data. This is how you hydrate your cart, actually. You provide an SKU, and the system will return many information for you to display the cart. But we have also all the pushing an order, pushing a customer to Crystallize, and many other things back to the documentation.
Yeah, and of course, this is the first part of a lot of series. We want to build a fully fledged e-commerce store, just to show how we can get started from scratch if you want to. Because of course we are biased when it comes to frameworks as well, which we like, but some people might like something else. So we'll go through the basics and get to the end of it at some point. So I guess next time it will be maybe some styling, because some of this hurt my eyes. So we'll use probably something like Tailwind just to make it a bit more organized.
Yeah, and I think then that would be something like we will need something like
probably a button.
that's gonna be it. Because and then that would be interesting also to show you that we are also providing libraries server side to simplify, how you take an order, how you control the price, how you apply discounts. So and you have example in boilerplates, but we have also library to speed up the process for you.
Exactly. All right, I think we can start rounding up. This was a long one. It's probably going to get longer for other sessions as well. But now, as you can see, we built a, I'm not going to say fully fledged because it's not, but we built a way of of reading our API and consuming it and showing the data. Yeah, it's super fun, but the showing all the information that you actually put into the PIM, it is quite straightforward, which is cool.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Didrik.
Thank you, Sebastian. It was a good one. I learned some stuff today.
Cool. Me too. Me too. I hope you too, and see you in the next one.
Yes, see you in the next one.